Today we are welcoming again a new discussion to highlight the work we do for some time already with the Foundation to propose solutions for peace, to propose solutions for unity. And we are going to talk today about a topic where unity already exists, where Schuman's principles are already in action. Here we're not talking about a new potential, we're talking about reality, where scientists, engineers of all the world are preparing the very next step that will happen to humanity thanks to this unity, thanks to sharing resources and enhanced prosperity. Today we have the great luck to welcome Monsignor Bernard Ardura, who is the Emeritus Chairman of the Pontifical Commission for Historical Sciences, who is going to enlighten us on how Schuman principles are applied in the situation we're going to have today. We will also welcome Igor Fedorov, former associate professor, mathematician, and the General Quast, who is embarking us in an adventure, a fantastic adventure, where he's building infrastructure in space. So join us to have today a wonderful conversation to see how unity, cooperation, peace unleashes prosperity for all. This is such a great pleasure to welcome here the three of you. Thank you for being here. So let me introduce again the gentleman whom we are lucky to welcome here, Mr. Igor Fedorov, a bright scientist, General Quast, who has served all his life his country for peace in the most sometimes dangerous manners, with always generosity, and who is now leading an initiative for space, and Monsignor Bernard Ardura, who is the Emeritus Chairman of the Pontifical Commission for Historical Sciences, and the Postulator for Schuman, the Venerable Schuman's Beatification. So is probably the best specialist on earth about Schuman's life and how we can inspire from him to drive our works. So today's conversation is about a very practical example on how cooperation, unity, peace unleashes prosperity for all. It's an example, a living example of Schuman's principle: put resources in common and serve as many as possible people, and the result is automatically peace and prosperity. This is a place where a common purpose unites all technologies, all resources for the best of all of us. And so this is the way we're going to conduct this conversation. We're first going to discuss about how recent technologies can tomorrow unlock the economy of space, how it can unlock prosperity for the entire planet, and how this is not science fiction. These are all technologies that are ready, how these technologies are put in common, how the support of the highest authorities of various states are working for this, while the tragic situation in Ukraine must still be resolved. The latest conversation between the president of the Russian Federation and the president of the United States, while agreeing to disagreeing for now, hopefully they will find a solution very soon, but agreeing to disagreeing on the tragic situation, they agreed to keep supporting an increase in cooperation in space. And today we're going to see what exactly is that cooperation about, how tomorrow it unleashes prosperity for a vast number of people. So my first question, and where I would like to start, is a bit of a reminder, Monsignor Ardura, if you would mind, about what is exactly Schumann's method. Is it only limited to a geographical place, or is it more of a method that unleashes prosperity? And how does that unleash prosperity, and where it comes from?
Il nous rappelle des éléments essentiels qui font partie de notre vivre ensemble. Et la recherche de la paix, la culture de la paix, est une culture qui, dans son cœur et dans son intelligence, est une culture qui porte du fruit. Et alors, ce qui le pousse à agir. On peut dire que, au fond, toute sa vie n'a été qu'un service du bien commun. Et alors, il faut reconnaître aussi que Schuman a réussi dans son entreprise parce qu'il partageait avec d'autres la même culture, la même foi, les mêmes valeurs. Et c'est pourquoi, avec Adenauer, mais aussi avec un homme comme Jean Monnet, avec les ministres des Affaires étrangères des États-Unis et également de l'Angleterre, il a réussi à répondre à une question fondamentale. Eh bien, nouer entre ces diverses nations des liens tels qu'il serait impossible qu'elles se fassent la guerre. Alors, cette culture de la paix est une culture qui est ancrée profondément dans la nature de Schuman, mais aussi de tous ceux et celles avec lesquels il a travaillé.
Ah, voilà, magnifique, magnifique. And also what I believe is Schumann's method to reach that peace you're talking about is on one hand connected to the true nature of human being. The true nature of human being is about giving itself. It's about building, it's about discovering beauty, it's about tapping into abundance. And after 3 world wars in 70 years, what he did in his genius was to shift from a culture of scarcity, where people fight for resources, into a culture of abundance, where people together tap on infinite abundance. And that is also radically Christian.
Yeah.
We believe that God is infinite abundance, and that he has given us all we need, and he's giving us every day all we need to achieve our missions, to achieve what we want to give, whom we want to give. And his genius was to institutionalize that, creating, as you say, through politics, the institutions that lock this tapping into abundance. And the result was 75 years of peace, 35 years of relative abundance. 500 million people live out of poverty, live in relative abundance, which was never done in history. Yeah. And so I'm applying these Christian values that match what is human nature, putting them into institutions as delivered peace and as delivered prosperity. And the key principle was the sharing of resources. And this is allowing me to shift to space now. Because people talk a lot about war or try to make peace, whereas there are fields in which peace is already made, where Schumann's method, sharing resources, is already made and is in action and has support of everyone in Europe, in Eastern Europe or Far Eastern Europe, in the United States, in this civilization that we share, this Christian civilization that we share. There is this peace and this resources sharing that's happening. And so I would like now to shift the conversation to what many people would think is science fiction, when in fact it's happening now. And we will see the results of what may happen now. Yeah. And so, Steve, I'd like that you walk us through in space. We had Joe Dispenza in December who walked us in no space. And if you could walk us through outer space and bring in this conversation what we will see, not out of science fiction, not out of dreams, but out of shared technologies, shared resources, what's going to happen and how it's going to deliver and unlock prosperity.
That's a wonderful question, and we are at a moment in the history of mankind where we can take the next step of progress at untapping God's gift that He has created, the universe, for us to be good stewards of. And it is an example where technology does change fate. And if it's tapped into by people that understand that God is the reason, the worship of God is the reason, and the unity of people, His people, is at the source of this. So the outer space is connected to the inner space that Joe talks about, and I'll describe that in very brief words, why they're connected. So what we know about technology today and what we are already collaborating on as a world community in the space environment is that we have the technology to be able to start, for the first time in human history, reaching to the stars, reaching to the universe, reaching to heaven for infinite energy, infinite information, and infinite resources. And that the problems of today, which are trapped within a small spaceship called Earth, is limiting our ability to bring in a future of prosperity and abundance versus what we experience now, where there's scarcity. There's scarcity of clean water, there's scarcity of food, there's scarcity of energy. And historically, when you increase the abundance, then you usher in prosperity and you usher in peace, just like you've talked about. But here's why it really is so inspiring to me, because this is about all of us having a responsibility for the future, and all of God's children that are out there in the future that He wants to bring close to Him and to worship Him as our primary purpose of glorifying God, our entire purpose as people, and helping us recognize we belong to one another. No matter what culture or what society you live in, we belong to one another more than we are separate. But yet we want the color, the diversity, the beauty, and the variety of every culture, every language, so we can enjoy one another as human beings. So as we untap this technology, what will happen is now people around the world will be able to have, let's take that information and educate themselves for the interior life. How do they learn about what God intends and how they can untap their minds, and their heart, and their soul to be the perfect version of themselves?
And practically, what technologies are we talking about? So what practically are we going to see? Because these are the part of the core principles of humanity, I would say.
That's right.
This unity, we are made for out of diversity. You build unity and you enrich each other. Right? That's the founding blocks of humanity.
Right.
Practically in terms of technologies, and I would revert to both of you, because you guys are cooperating in space, and out of that peace and unity, you are preparing a next step into prosperity, which is Schumann's invention somehow, right? And so very curious about what you guys are bringing there up in our heads, so we live here better and all humanity can live better.
Right.
Thank you for this good question. First of all, I want to just let's think how we can deal with the question of space. What space is a big, full of resources place. First of all, there are plenty of very different processes there we can use or we can't use. How we can think about the space from the point of view of human race. From our point of view, actually, space is a real step ahead for the human race, because in the very space we can move further as a human race. We have plenty of risks on the Earth, and surely we can decrease them if we are on the way of developing space.
Decrease the use of them.
Decrease risks on the Earth.
Yeah.
The risks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not move risks there, but decrease as a risks of human race there on the Earth. We can deal with many ecological problems, with many things there. And what is more important from our point of view, we can bring another meaning to many activities of humanity. For example, education. We know that from the 70s, the level of education become lower, because actually we have plenty of technologies. We had many scientific breakthroughs. We can use it. We can use our phones. We can use satellites. We can use many things, and we can live in this world in a very comfortable way. But if we can challenge the question of space, we surely need more education. We need a very different education, because we need many scientific breakthroughs and many technologies. Some of the questions the humanity never faced. For example, we know that sometimes we need to bring, and we know how to bring energy to some point.
We're talking about beaming energy?
It's about beaming energy, or even it's about creating, just plugging in a kind of source of energy in every point. And one of the technologies you inquire, and we are working with Steven, is just artificial gravity. It's a controlling of gravity. It's a very interesting phenomenon. It's really working. So it's extremely interesting for
so
us.
what are we looking at in terms of available technologies? Are we talking about building plants in space, for example, that would then capture the energy in space and send it on Earth?
So there are many applications of this, but think about it like this. Space is the ocean of commerce that not only has resources of material, like in the asteroids, that can be mined, but the transportation to be able to deliver those resources anywhere on the planet affordably, and to be able to capture energy from the sun or other sources of energy and beam it to the Earth. We know how to do that. We know it can be done, and it's just a matter of commercializing it. This is where technology can change fate. Because imagine where I grew up in Africa, small tribe, no infrastructure, had to walk for hours for water. Imagine now from space, you can deliver a beam of radio waves that are as safe for human beings as the FM, AM radio, and they can have energy, electricity. And now they can power water generators from the air and the humidity in the air. And now they can grow food right there. They don't need a power plant, they don't need power lines, because one example of how the current technology we have, if operationalized in this ocean of commerce and space, can allow you to optimize the pillars of performance in an economy, or the pillars of prosperity, transporting things affordably, to the right place at the right time for the right reason at the right price point, delivering information so people know what to do with that and know what to do with their own education, how they can learn and discover truth so that people can't lie to them, governments can't lie to them, and then delivering energy. So the transportation, the information, and the energy that can be delivered to any person on the planet right now, even if they live in the middle of nowhere, is achievable.
So the technology is ready.
The technology is there to deliver this. And now, think of the people you can pull out of poverty. And when you pull them out of poverty, from a place of scarcity to a place of abundance, now a peaceful existence.
With the right education that creates a culture of abundance. Yes. Shifts from a culture of fear to a culture of abundance.
Absolutely.
And so people can tap in their potential and give it.
Absolutely. And even people can even find their own every individual can find his own purpose in this, just in developing himself. Because there is a way. Why do human race need all this research and all this development?
Yeah, it's a question of purpose.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so we have this unity that is being put at work, Schuman principles that are enacted, sharing resources, sharing educative resources, what we know in science, how material resources can be tapped, and we know that technology is ready or about to be ready. And the obstacles to get there now, what is fantastic, it's not politics, for once.
Yes.
Politics is there supporting all of this. There is unity, and so it's about to unleash prosperity, and there is peace in space. Like a Monsignor told me once, when we were reporting to him our activity here, he was saying, it's like in the Bible, it says peace will come from heaven. and this is really beautiful to see it in action, right? As I understand, the missing parts to this is the difficulty to launch an amount enough of material to the space, and there are also technological answers to that, right? One that is ready, that you're leading, that is building plants in space. So these plants with artificial intelligence can implement practically this unity in building what we need there, so it can be brought to Earth at less cost.
Right.
And as I understand as well, there is very advanced research into managing gravity. So these are technologies that are researched by apparently your two countries that you are about to put in common or putting in common, where the law of gravity will be reversed, and so things will float up to space. And these technologies are about to be ready, which is a massive breakthrough. So between the technology you are developing, that is being able to have infrastructure, building infrastructure in space, logistics infrastructure in space, that will break the obstacle of reaching that step and putting at place these technologies. Am I correct?
Well, yes, these technological journeys have certain steps, because you are ushering in a whole new economy. And so as the technologies mature, you see new opportunities to do this more affordably. But the business case already closes by being able to assemble larger structures in space, by assembling them in space. And eventually, those larger structures have the ability to deliver the energy and then tap into the resources that are in space. Let's take asteroids, for example. An asteroid that is closer to our Earth than the Moon, because it's rotating with the Earth around the Sun, has trillions of dollars worth of gold, silver, platinum, rare earth metals, because an asteroid is made up of the same stuff as Earth. And we already know how to mine that asteroid, how to bring those resources.
So we have the technology to mine it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The robotics of being able to mine, that's already operating in mines in Africa. These robotic capabilities that use supercomputing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deploying those into space and starting to reap the benefits of what God has placed right at our fingertips. It's so much easier than what we do undersea. So if we have an analogy where under the ocean, a submarine is much more complex than a spacecraft needs to be. And we can actually create environments in space where people don't have to suffer from zero gravity. They don't have to suffer from radiation. They can actually live in a beautiful environment with plants and animals and water and the beauty of the sun. And when we can assemble in space using resources from an asteroid to 3D print structures and equipment, you now start unleashing the vast sanctity of space as an economy, an ocean that then now can deliver to any point on the planet information, energy, and resources at lower cost than the current economy.
Than what we do today.
Yes, and that is where you start increasing the economic pie, And you start ushering in an era of abundance instead of an era of scarcity. And when I, as a peacemaker, look at the sources of war, the root causes of why we have conflict, it's oftentimes fighting over water, mineral rights, and other resources. And when we collectively, as a united front, a united humanity that respects every person and aligns our moral souls with God's teaching about free will, to choose good and not evil, and we unite as a world community to be able to build this space economy, we can now unleash all of the resources in space in ways that are beautiful, affordable, and transform the struggles we're having today.
If I understand correctly what Steve is saying, this is exactly the same reasoning as Schuman and Monet had at the end of World War II. No? It's like, let's shift from these wars around a supposed scarcity of resources to see what is the abundance and how uniting can use that abundance.
Mais ceci suppose qu'il y ait une certaine unanimité dans le partage des valeurs, que cette culture de la paix soit la garante de la prospérité. Et la prospérité doit être aussi la garante de la paix. C'est pourquoi je crois il est très important, et je partage ce que vous disiez à propos de l'éducation. Parce que c'est par l'éducation que se transmettent les valeurs. C'est par l'éducation que se transmet la culture. C'est par l'éducation que passe d'une génération à l'autre ce que nous pensons avoir de meilleur. Et c'est pourquoi ces valeurs, qui sont des valeurs qui passent le temps, sont aujourd'hui plus que jamais actuelles. Mais je pense que le grand défi, c'est celui-là, parce que la conquête de l'espace, des ressources de l'espace, est une conquête qui peut s'avérer à la fois gage de prospérité et de paix pour tout le genre humain, mais s'il n'y a pas ce partage en commun de ces valeurs de fraternité, de solidarité, alors ça devient un risque, et un risque à nouveau d'opposition. Je pense que là, nous sommes à une étape de l'histoire de l'humanité, et qu'il sera déterminant de savoir si nous partageons ce même désir, eh bien, de contribuer au bien commun.
That's exactly what you're saying about education and values, right? And if I understand correctly, what you both are saying is that one go with the other, but not only. These technological developments offer the opportunity to unite a culture around these values that you're talking about, around what people have coined as the Judeo-Christian civilization. No. That we can bring again these values to a vast number of people. And these aspects of education, which can be also named as mindset, what we saw during our last podcast that we made here at the Academy with Joe Dispenza, is that there out of neuroscience, new technologies that show, and it's sort of ironic, humanity tried to put God out of the center of the central square, right? And this reference that enlightened all of us, and believed only in its senses, right? What we can experiment. Mm-hmm. And these experiences are bringing back, with new technologies, to saying our brain is made to believe, to love, and to hope. Right? And these education principles that you talk that can be leveraged with space technology have the opportunity to create such prosperity that we aspire all, such seeing the reality. Reality is we live in an abundant world. That God our Father is a very generous Father, and He cares, and He likes when we discover new ways to see the surprise He left us. Yeah. And so it's really beautiful to see that this unity that is happening, this massive support at highest level of state, despite the tragedy that we're living, is moving ahead, and this is producing a formidable example, a living now example of what will happen tomorrow. And I'm a bit curious. We talk about technologies. You're a mathematician and a prestigious one. Are there theoretical models, mathematical models around that? You were talking now about there are ways to tap the whole energy that is abundant through us, which we see as well in neuroscience. So in neuroscience, it's more and more seen that it's all about frequency and energy. That is, this table here that looks solid is in fact a very low frequency, a very low level of energy that makes it the matter glue. Right? And so we are all made of energy and frequencies. Right? And I'm curious, are there already mathematical models that exist or about to be developed that would be able to scale that?
Right now, we can reproduce this phenomena, first of all, and we have working technology of controlling gravitation. I hope in several years we will present this model and we can use it maybe in much wider areas. Actually, I wanted to just mention that using this phenomena, we have approached how to live in just every point of outer space for people. Because now we know that cosmonauts, astronauts has many diseases and dysfunction of the body on the orbit, even on the
even on low orbit.
In very low orbit. But this phenomena can lead to the possibility to live for a long time without any diseases, far away from the Earth.
So these technologies as well are
This technology is working.
But this is an example where innovation, you need to let it unfold naturally. And this comes with the unity of scientists and engineers cooperating and continuing to accelerate that cooperation. Because right now, you could build a spaceship that just rotates. Think of like a hula hoop or a tire. It rotates, and you feel 1G. I mean, you literally can feel like it's Earth. The gravitational pull is one gravity, like we feel right now. So that's a simple way of designing a solution to the gravity problem. But then when that actually evolves, it's even a more superior way of providing the same effect. The bottom line here is that this is what gets me the most excited, because as a peacemaker, we look at the root causes of war and conflict, and one is the scarcity of resources.
Or the appearance of it.
Right, or yeah. The second is information, where somebody lies to you to make you afraid and make you go to war. And the third is the interior, where people allow fear and anxiety and anger and hatred drive them. You know, we live in a sinful world, and when you learn what God has taught us, that we love our God and that we love our neighbor as God loves us, this unity is possible with people that have that heart. And then when you can create the prosperity, you can take away the other root of conflict by people turning to their interior life, their relationship with God and their relationship and love with others. And now you take away that other element of war. But information and education is the key, because right now we live in a world where information we still have not figured out a way to discern truth. And with artificial intelligence, you can't believe anything you see or anything you read until you can triangulate that truth with people that you know and you build trust with. So this education is key for people on the planet to be able to distill truth through that information and that education. Understand that the most powerful tool God has given us for peace is right between our ears. This mind.
And here.
Yeah, and then if it's driven by the heart that recognizes we are infinite creatures that are morally bound to God, we can usher in a new era of peace and prosperity if we unite.
And this is a space where, in space, we are united.
We are.
And so this is a wonderful example, and I thank you, the three of you, for your time, for having come here. They both traveled a very long way. We are both in Rome. But, they made a very big effort to be here to highlight what unity is producing, how maybe by coincidence Schuman principles are enacted there and are about to unleash massive prosperity and peace. So thank you for both of you. Thank you for your work. You both have a hard work back in your country. And thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you.